Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Spunkify here for MMOBomb.com, and welcome back to another MOBA Spotlight episode. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with what the MOBA Spotlight is, it's a series where we take a look at an individual MOBA, specifically in this case Dota 2, and we take a look at a hero or champion for that MOBA, talk a little bit about him, talk about his abilities, what he does for the team, what his role is, and then whether or not we like him. So in this case, we're taking a look at Magnus, which is a strength-based hero for Dota 2, and I have to say, overall, I'm really enjoying him so far. So let's get into exactly what he does and what he provides for his team. So for those of you unfamiliar with Dota 2 or have never played a MOBA, usually in cases of MOBAs, there is 3 different or 4 different types of champions to play. When it comes to Dota 2, you have strength, intellect, and agility. Agility being kind of like the carries of the game. They're going to do the most damage if they get the farm. Strength being kind of like the tanks of the game. They're up in the front. They're going to be the ones initiating. And then intellect being the ones that support usually or have large amounts of nukes. You know, kind of like AP champions if you play League of Legends. Now with Magnus works really well with his abilities because they're all AoE based. What I mean by that is, for example, his Q sends out a straight line nuke in a direction, hitting everybody in the target area. His W gives himself a cleave, or he gives ally a cleave. It is a targeted ability, as well as bonus of damage, meaning that you can cleave everybody that's in you if they're in front of you. Your E is an impale, which allows you to charge forward, impale everybody in front of you, and then slow them. And then finally, your ultimate, which I just used right there, pulls everybody into one circle around you, damaging them and then stunning them. Now, if you can imagine getting in the middle of people, pulling them in one area, stunning them, and then using your Q and E, you can see how it really synergizes with the rest of his abilities. And top of the fact that if you have a team that has a lot of AoE abilities, you can pretty much own face. So as you can see here, we're going to use all of our abilities in synergy here at one time to get the mass effect. You'll see that I stun them, I push them forward, then I'm going to use my Q, and your Q is actually on a fairly low cooldown at max strength. It's like 8 or 7 seconds. Now, Magnus is a very mana intensive hero if you're going to be spamming your abilities all the time, so you do need to make sure that you either have arcane boots, which supply you with a constant stream of mana, or some type of ally or bottle which allows you to keep supplying yourself with mana over time. Dota is a game that you have to really be conscious of how much mana you have available, because your abilities cost a lot of mana, and your pool, if you're not an intellect based champion, in general is very low. So we'll get to see another little team fight here, a good example of execution with an entire team, because overall Magnus is a good hero and he can hold his own by himself. However, he does his best as a team-based hero because his abilities are so AoE based that if he can capitalize on that with the rest of his team, he can shut people down extremely effectively. Not only that, but his ultimate and his E also cancel out channeled abilities. So in the case of, say, Meepo, which we actually killed before this, Meepo has an ability that he'll channel for 1.5 seconds that does an AoE amount of damage. Now if I stunned him or if I charged him, it would then cancel that channel. But as you can see here, we're getting a good use of our team-based abilities here to take out the enemy team. We've got Roche, and now we're going to be able to push towards the enemy nexus slash building slash tower slash whatever it is in this MOBA. Now, one thing I do have to point out is the fact that Magnus is very bad at getting away from enemy champions and heroes. What I mean by that is he has only one escape ability, which is his charge, and it's on a very long cooldown, and it's most used for initiation. You wouldn't be using that usually for escapes unless you actually have to. Now it does do well because you can charge through, you can charge through trees and such like that. But in general, you're not going to have an easy time getting away from people who have stuns or slows. Now to counter that, one of the main core items that you build on Magnus is a blink dagger, which I have here. And what a blink dagger allows you to do is blink, as you can see right there, to a targeted location a few hundred feet away or whatever like that. It's very good for initiating on the enemy team, and it's also very good for escaping if you have to. Now, what you're going to see right here is an example of just what I mean as far as him, Magnus getting kited, or having to worry about enemy champions, not being able to get to them. Rather, as you'll see here, I'm going to be chasing after this Queen of Pain. I will get the Queen of Pain, and then I think I'm going to get this Windrunner, but lo and behold, the Rubik comes up and he's going to stun me up in the air, and then I'm going to get stunned right after that by Windrunner. Now how do you counter that? Well, Dota 2 is a game all about counters. It's all about picking an enemy champion or picking an enemy hero and then picking items to counter the other builds of the enemies. So in this case, with Magnus, what your best bet is to do is what I'm doing right now, which is to buy a Blink Dagger and then a BKB. Now, what is a BKB? A BKB is kind of like a spell shield that lasts for a definitive amount of time, so it lasts 6 to 8 seconds. depending on how many times you've used it, and it blocks all spells, which is really great, and it's kind of like a must-have if you're going against a very disable-heavy team. In this case, we're going against 4 or 5 stuns, essentially, and with Magnus, you need those stuns. Oh man, that was a fail right there. I just saw failed my ultimate, but it's okay. We're going to end up cleaning this up. Overall, though, I do find Magnus very fun, and other than the Blink Dagger and the BKB, which I buy, I usually get either DPS items or support items like a mech or a pipe, which allow me to heal my teammates or provide them a bubble shield against area effect damage. Kind of like the shield from League of Legends, the Shield of Solaris, I believe, which allows you to negate area effect damage for a certain amount of time. But Magnus is definitely a very team-based champion, or team-based hero rather, unless you get the necessary farm. So if you get the farm, because Dota 2 is a game all about farm, then you can really be a powerhouse and do a lot of damage. Right here, you're going to get to see a good initiation and why it's so crucial to have the Blink Dagger. I'm going to blink right in here, pull them into one area, and then use all my abilities at once, and they're not going to even have a chance. A nice follow-up with the rest of our team, and we take those 2 guys out, no problem whatsoever. He's a really great initiator, and he's going to be the front line in a lot of teams when they play him. Overall, though, I've really enjoyed his style of play. I'm more of a strength-based player than anything, more than intellect and more than agility, simply for the fact that it's a little bit more forgiving if you're not good at farming. If you're not getting last hits, you can get a strength-based hero, and you'll have good base damage on your abilities and good base HP. So you can kind of focus on those style items. But like any game of Dota 2, if you fall behind, it can be really unforgiving to get back ahead. Now, one thing I was going to mention to you guys is coming up in the future MOBA Spotlight episodes, if you guys would like to suggest a certain hero or champion from a certain MOBA, then do so. What I've been doing is just picking new champions or new heroes that come out, but if there's anyone particular that you would like to see from a already existing MOBA or already existing hero, please let me know, and I'd be more than happy to show you guys off. Now keep in mind also that this isn't a full-on guide, and your playstyle and your mileage may vary. I am by no means an excellent Dota 2 player, but I'm not bad as well, and these tips should help you if you want to actually try out Magnus in a game. But I'll leave you here with this excellent clip of us finishing off this team here, and this has been Spunkify. I hope you've enjoyed our commentary here. Watch me get a triple kill as we end this clip, and I'll see you guys for the next MOBA Spotlight episode. This has been Spunkify. Spunkify out. Later, guys. Triple kill.